Abby's View. By this time, the snow was coming down hard with the huge flakes that you get sometimes. The three of us girls were lined up staring out the window, and we were each as tense as we could be. We did not like being shut up in the house when Dan was out in the fields. We wanted to be out with him, if for no other reason than to watch his back and make sure he did not get attacked by any strange creatures. We still could not tell if the calf were alive or not either. With the combination of the dark and the snow and the distance, we could not see if the calf was moving or not, and it looked to us like he was heading for the house and not the barn where the rest of the cattle were gathered. Finally, it was obvious that he was moving toward the herd, and mere yards before he got into the thick of them, he set the calf down and backed away from it. Before too long, one of the cows came over to see what the fuss was about, followed by another, and soon they were joined by a few more. We could just barely see by the light of Dan's headlamp that as each one came around, they would sniff the calf and then step back. None of them nosed the calf or seemed to pay it a whole lot of attention. None of them tried to get it to stand or do much of anything. Soon the lead cow came over and poked around for a little bit, then as sure as I'm writing this column, that same cow went back to where most of the herd was and cut one of the cows from the others and basically pushed it toward the calf. The cow she had cut from the herd reluctantly went over to the calf, and after sniffing it for a while, she began to nose it and got it to stand. It was not too much later that the calf began to feed, and we saw Dan start to head for home. Now, I don't pretend to know everything, but I am quite certain that the lead cow made the calf's mom get up off her duff and go take care of her young one. I don't know what would make a cow abandon her offspring, but that kind of behavior was not going to be allowed that evening. We saw Dan's light heading back our way. It disappeared as he went down the bank, and shortly after we saw the light emerge again, and soon he was back at the gate. We were not quiet as he made it the last several yards, and in fact he was in the house for a while before we finally stopped our racket. He was near frozen, and he kept on shaking out his arms, trying to get the feeling back in them. Apparently, carrying 85 plus pounds of dead weight over a long distance makes humans' arms hurt. As I don't have arms, I can't really say I know what that feels like. I have felt somewhat sore on the occasion Belle and I would escape and we would run like madmen for a couple of hours. It wasn't too long before we heard the whole story, and it was confirmed that what I thought was happening actually took place. Dan wished it hadn't been the very furthest corner of the field where he found it, but all's well that ends well.